I had a viewer the other day, I believe his name was Peter Drake, typed in the comments section asking if I would do a diagram of the overview of what was going on here. And I thought that was a good idea. I probably should have done it sooner. This drone pic was taken, I believe, in the spring of 2017. Um, and let me give you an orientation of the direction because I know I've mentioned in a lot of the videos south side, west side, east side. So basically, the north side is here. That's north. So obviously, south side here, west and east. I'm drawing with my finger here, so excuse the how it looks. The house that I built last year is over here, which is really going to be my son's house. And this fall, I'm going to be starting my wife and I's house. Is that how you say it? Wife and I? Yes. Um, is going to be over in this area right here. And the area that really caused all the problems for the reason, of doing all these videos um, is what I call the dam, which you saw in some of the previous videos, the Let's Dig 18 visit and all that, was right here. This is the area where the former owner dug so much dirt bordering this creek. This is a creek right here. It runs all the way down. It's very long, but it broke through like 4 times right about there. So that's the main area of attention, and that was the whole reason, like I said, for having Chris from Let's Dig 18 come down, and all the videos that you've seen so far is basically um, ultimately to repair that area right there. And just to point out some other landmark or features so that you'll have an idea, and then I'll try to zoom in closer on this photo and give you a more detailed look at it. But when you saw Chris, when he took the machine down and started to dig, he was actually right in this area here. Um, this is the drag line, or was where the drag line was. When you see the two videos on that, I'll zoom in closer so you could see it, but just let you know there. Where I first started, the first video of me digging is basically in this area. It started over here, and I started to work down this way. When I said like continuing down the line, it was basically continuing down this way here. The ramp and burying concrete was in this area here. Um, and the diversion trail basically comes down this way, turns into the woods like this, and then it will come out over here. So that was, and the reason for that, again, to explain to some people, and I'll do a little bit more on it after, but instead of having to build up the road all the way around in this area, it made more sense just to take those trees down, and it saved having to put all that dirt right there. Um, so let me close this one, erase it, and I'll give a little bit more on a clean sheet. We bought the initial property, which was just a little bit over 24 acres, which encompassed this area here and much farther, obviously, back in that direction. You can't see it on this here. And I built this 40 by 100 pole barn right there. So I did that in 2015, and it wasn't until 2017 that, after talking to the owner of this property here, he was an older gentleman who was running a sand pit. It was his father's back, probably from the 50s. And he kept saying to me, "Oh, why don't you write me a check, write me a check?" And so one day I wrote him a check, and he almost fell into the lake there. And then he said, "Okay, we'll do it." And The deal, her arrangement was that he would be allowed to continue to take sand out of the pit at the same time that he would start to reclaim the property, and he needed to do it by DHEC rules. Anyway, he had to put it back into its former self, not former self, obviously, but he had to get it into a usable condition, sloping the sides and all that. So, and what was agreed upon was that this whole area here would be made into a lake. So all this part would be gone, and he was going to be digging out this anyway, but he was going to sculpt the sides. And after a year, he didn't even do 1 inch of reclamation, and that was again where the dam here had broken through because he dug so much out. And that's finally when we had to have him removed, and he was not allowed to come back anymore. And hence, I need to fix everything. There is a bond with DHEC, but they're having a problem getting it, so I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to do it myself. And some of the other names that you'll see of places or areas of the property that I will be naming, which you will see in upcoming videos, just so you'll have an idea, and you could always go back to this, and maybe I'll try to take some of these clips and reference it into the videos when I do it, so everybody doesn't have to go back all the time. But one of the areas that is going to be upcoming this week, this area right here is what I call Goose Island. It's always been, I don't want to say nesting ground, but it's been a habitat for all the geese. They like to go up there in the sun, and there just was always hundreds of them in this area, and that's all going to be removed. But that's what I call Goose Island. The other thing that you will see, I call it Gumbo Alley. Basically, comes down this way, and the reason I call it Gumbo Alley is the only thing that was ever done in the beginning when the former owner was supposed to do some work is I actually took a big pile of gumbo and I spread it out over there. So it's basically, I call that Gumbo Alley. And let's see where else. Oh, the other place, if you see the video where I removed the floats that went into the creek, again, the creek is here. Those floats were down over in this area here. And I still have found two more that were over here, and there's still another one in over here. But until I build up till I build up the dam area, I will have a problem getting them out, as I can't reach down that far. Well, up and over and then down. So I have to wait till I build that up, and that will come out as well there. And there's another, I'm calling it Nest Island. It's just a little bit of it's basically an island now, but it was a little bit of dirt that got left here. And this season, the mama geese, or whatever you would call them, they use that as a nesting ground, which was good because there's a lot of fox that live over here, and last year they were actually over here, but they couldn't get out to them this way because there was really no way for them to get out to it. So they were pretty safe there. And just a couple other areas in case I make reference to them at some point, at least they'll be on here. This area over here I call pipeland. You can see all these pipes that the former owner had left here, and there was also a lot of piles of just junk and garbage, and of course he left me all that. Like I said, he was able to get this drag line out. The judge, his buddy, after a year let him take that out. Well, didn't take it out, as you saw, it got ripped to shreds, but he left me with a bunch of junk. And then also there's another way around. You can walk all the way around this way or drive. I call it Gwyn Way. It's one of the neighbors who owns this horse farm over on this side. His name is Gwyn, so I just call that Gwyn Way down there. So if I ever make reference, I figured I would let you know that. And I guess that's about the only thing left to show you. Well, again, just while I have the whole thing up. So basically what I am trying to do is just make this so that the lake is basically as large as possible around like that. and nothing really needs to be done down this end. This end has a lot of trees. This is the oldest part that had been done, and there's no need to disturb it. It's if you watch even that fishing video, you'll see that's where most of the big fish were caught. And as you know, you will see in the upcoming videos, a lot of this is already gone. A lot of, all this is already gone, but that would just give you an overview of that, and then I will just switch to a different picture. I'll zoom in a little bit, and I'll just go over a couple of the things a little bit closer, and that'll probably give you an idea. And then if anybody has any questions, just just put them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them if I can. So here's a zoomed in area of the dam. Again, I'll just point it out on here. Here's the creek that runs quite a ways, both in that direction. And the area that it broke open primarily is right here. So that's the area, but it's going to be built up. You'll see it's going to be probably 40 or 50 feet thick this way, and then slope. This whole side right here where the creek runs will be that way. And when you see the video, when I said let's lower the water level, I basically just dug this channel 4 feet deep, 4 feet wide, went down as far as I could, and that actually allows the water. Now it's basically at the mercy of the creek, so when we have had no rain, the water level outflows, goes out the creek. We just had a thunderstorm the other day. We had a pretty big inflow, but it's already on its way back out again, so we're kind of at the mercy. But this has to stay open, right through until right at the end when I'm done, and then I'll just fill it in quick. So that's the area of the dam, just to give you a little idea. And then, it's basically, like I said, it's just going to turn this way. I have to build this whole side up about 4 feet just so I can have a road that goes all the way around it and can still walk and drive all the way around, without any issues. So that's that one. Let me get up the next one. This shot will help understand more of that diversion trail slash knocking the trees down and the crunch time. So basically, initially what we thought we were going to have to do was this road right here that comes down is probably 10 feet, 12 feet. Farther back this way, it's probably 16 feet of a drop over the sides, even though I've sloped that a little bit now. But all this area here, we thought, would have to build it up to get to the dam, and that was going to take probably 4,000 yards. Let me erase that off just so you don't see it anymore. So the diversion trail, I took down some trees here. There was that big dead one, we call it deadwood. There was always vultures sitting in it. They loved that tree, and they saw that one come down. So just took out only the minimum amount we needed over there. So basically now the trail will go like this, comes through the woods, and then we'll make the turn and come back out and continue down on the built up area of the dam. And this is where I need to put the culvert pipe in right here, because there's a ditch. There's a ditch that runs down, and that'll work good for a swale for the overflow, to be able to, if it overcomes the too much water, it'll actually have a place to go out, and that'll be a good place for that. So I think this will help. I know there were a few people, my daughter included, when she saw the video, she called me up and said, I don't even know what you're doing, even though she's been here. But so I figured this might help show a little bit more in depth on what the reason was for those 3 videos and taking down those trees and the reason for it. And it's kind of nice to walk through the woods, because in this area of our property I made quite a bit of trails. There's probably total we probably have a couple of miles worth of trails, but this one kind of borders some of those, and I think that'll just give it a nice look down that end, so you're not just walking around like a racetrack or a running track. It'll give it a little bit more character, I think. So all right, that should cover that. Let me get up the next. So again, this is Goose Island. This is the area that I was talking about being Goose Island, where they all like to hang out, and it's this pretty good distance, probably a couple hundred feet, maybe more. But there's a lot of material out here to take out. So that's what will be upcoming this week in the videos. Uh, got a lot of this dug out, so you'll be able to see that. And this will allow me to bring enough dirt if I need to bring it down this way, because again, this whole side, down this whole side, I'm probably going to come out about 12 feet in this direction, and it needs to be brought up at least 4 to 6 feet in depth. But I'm hoping that I have enough that I can excavate from here and just flip it up, and I won't need to use the teaspoon, the dump truck. That's affectionately, so a viewer called it a teaspoon, so I kind of like that. I'm going to call it the teaspoon. So hopefully won't even have to use it very much. And I know everybody wanted me to get a new dump truck, a bigger dump truck, but I don't think I'm really even going to need it. Obviously, it would be nice to have it, but I don't think it's worth the money. And I can still do it with the truck that's been paid for 29 years and only has 34,000 miles on it. So I might as well put a few more miles on it here. And then here, this is what I was calling Gumbo Alley. So there's a bit that's going to be dug out over here, and I'll be taking some trees down along this whole side, um, in order to make easier access for that road. So just to give you an idea of where you're going to see, I think it'll be helpful. Sometimes I forget. I know where everything is, and when I talk to people on camera, which is still not that easy for me, but it's getting a little bit easier. At least this way you'll have a reference point. And again, if you ever have any questions, just put them in the comments. I'll make sure I answer every one of them. I do look at it. I get alerts on my phone too, so I try to keep up with it. I know I liked if I asked a question of somebody on a channel, it's always nice when you know that they're looking at you and listening to you, and you can get an answer to it, that you're not just there as a subscription and they don't care about you. So I will try to answer any questions that I can on that. So let me get the last one up now, and I think that will do it for this video after the next one. So the last area here, as you can see, is where the drag line was. So that is a little reference point just to where, when Chris from Let's Dig 18 came and you saw him, was talking about the excavator, and when he got in it, it was actually right here. So he drove down this ramp right here, and most of the digging that he did was right in this area over here. So that'll give you a little reference to that. And then when you saw the drag line get ripped apart, it was in that place right there, and it did not go easy. It was stuck in the mud, and they just had a heck of a time with that. And let's see, the other thing is the ramp that I built was right here. Well, it's not that big, but it came down this way, and the concrete was buried kind of underneath in that spot. So when you see that one, because there is a ramp that was existing that was on this side, but in all those videos where you saw where I've dug up all this, well, actually the whole side is dug up now, but in the beginning, before all these piles here, it would be a lot easier to drive up this ramp than it would be to have to come around and go up that way and then make a turn this way. So that was the reason for that. And then this area here is where it had like the 16-foot high cliffs, which I have sloped a little bit, but I still need to make them a little less steep. But at least now if somebody went over the edge, at least they would just roll and they wouldn't fall straight down, which was kind of dangerous. And that was one of the things I was trying to get the former owner to do all along. And I told him that, that needed to be done. And of course, he never had any intention of doing it, unfortunately. But I hope that helps. I hope that will give you a little bit more of an insight on what's going on. And again, if you have any questions, just feel free to put them in there and I will answer them. So this video went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, but I think it'll be helpful. So again, thanks to everybody for everything that you say, the nice things, watching, the subscribers. I appreciate it very much. Oh, and just one last thing before I let you go. My daughter and my grandson are flying in tomorrow, and they're going to be here until Saturday. So, in case I miss a day getting a video up, in case I don't have time to edit it, you'll know the reason why, because we're doing stuff with them. And also, hopefully, I'll get a video of my grandson in the excavator this time. He was the one that was on the dozer last year, and hopefully we can get some with him on the other stuff. So I think that'll be fun. But I'll still try to get them up if I can. But just in case if I'm a little late or miss a day, you'll know why. Okay, thanks again.